Welcome, Lizelle. I cannot believe we're actually having this chat. I adore when we get together, and I'm so excited to share you with my listeners. As we create our own badass journeys, I just love to be able to create a platform to share that with others. And I would love it if you could just give us your snippet of how you introduce yourself, because you'll do a much better job probably than I would. But just so everyone knows who you are, what you're about, and then we'll get into it.
Thank you, Karine. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thanks for having me. So I am Lizelle van Vuuren. The way I introduce myself lately is I'm a serial entrepreneur, a technologist, and a brand builder by trade. I have a pretty eclectic background. Currently, I am serving the people as founder and CEO of Women Who Start Up, which I started back in early 2013. I'm now the president of the Women Who Start Up Foundation, which is the foundation arm that I guess soon will encompass the entire brand, if you will. But yeah, I'm definitely a technologist and an entrepreneur by trade, even though I come from a pretty creative background. I've been working in technology since I was 19 years old, enterprise software technology, no less. So big scalable products to mass amounts of end users. But then in 2011, I launched my first company, which was a marketing services little agency, I guess, if you will. And I worked with small businesses. And that quickly translated into my love and passion and just addiction, perhaps, to technology innovation. And that's when I really started to carve into technology startups. And that was about really quickly in 2012, 2013. That transition quick for me. It wasn't a big transition because product evolution within an enterprise, but we were a small company with high output. So I was kind of pretty well-versed for launching, successful things to a lot of end users with no budget and no team members, no nothing.
Yeah.
Crappy. So long story long, we can get into the meat and potatoes of everything I just kind of touched on. I come from a creative background. I'm an artist of sorts. That sounds weird.
No, you are. You're a high creative person. I do know that.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Hopefully I live up to it. Yeah. I mean, I've been painting since I was like 7 years old. I also grew up on stage. So performance arts was a big part of my life. I was an athlete, which I know that doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of people, but that's exactly who I am.
Yeah.
It won't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. So I was an athlete all of my life, mostly solo sports. Imagine that. I love team sports. I played things in South Africa where I was born and raised, like netball and field hockey. We played cricket and rugby with the boys. But I was a swimmer and a tennis player. That's where my drive comes from, I guess, to win at all costs and to rely on yourself at all costs. And so, I guess a pretty well-rounded mid-30-year-old who is deeply passionate currently about building a platform that is globally accessible to support women entrepreneurs with resources, community, and access to capital. So that's something I'm very passionate about right now. But I definitely think I have a few startups left in me, or a few brands, or there's a lot left. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also, just as your mantra is all about, staying persistent and keep climbing as part of your branding. It's our evolution, right? Like we evolve as we learn. And what I love about observing your badass journey the last 3 years and participating at times when I can is that, you could see how when you actually get something and you're like, everybody needs to know it, you will find that platform and share it. And what I love about you is that you always, you give so much, like you create this permissioning. And I'm not sure if anyone has ever shared that with you, but that's the way I see it, is that you create this permission for other female entrepreneurs to show up, to connect, and to put it out there. And it's really awesome. I mean, you have different platforms. You do it with the Women Who Start Up organization. You have it with Women Who Start Up Radio. And now I would love to understand more about the foundation, because I'm curious how that for you looks like an evolution, why you decided to jump into, the foundation, and what you hope for it, so that we can better understand that and also participate, when needed.
First of all, thank you. The feedback loop is scarce for me because I'm always working, always forging, usually running up mountains. So that means absolutely the world to me. I greatly appreciate that. And it fuels me to continue to do what I do for our community, including you and many incredible people like you. So I really appreciate that. The Women Who Start Up Foundation, I guess, is an evolution of how do I attain a boatload of resources, funding, brand sponsorships, people, volunteers, stakeholders, board members, for me to make all these programs that I have carved out in my mind and on a couple of pieces of paper, aka digital, make them a reality by no longer just making that my own burden to make a reality. And so for me, the first experiment, of course, early on for Women Who Start Up was, well, I want to start a little event that we gather monthly so that I can learn from other women entrepreneurs and vice versa for all constituents. And then that evolved into also an annual summit. And then I thought, okay, well, in between these monthly events and these big annual events, how do I have people engage in real time? For me, knowledge, access to knowledge in real time is everything. And we are in an information age where we can access information from anywhere thanks to the internet. But I wanted to curate a place where our ecosystem, our community of Women Who Start Up members or community or our ambassadors or anyone who is engaged with the brand and the platform, I wanted to give them a way to engage daily. So I launched one of the very first communities to launch on Slack. I launched a Slack for Women Who Start Up. And that was back in 2015, when not a lot of people were doing that. And before you knew it, everyone was on, and it was like Velcro. I got people pretty addicted to Slack.
I was addicted.
Yeah, and it's an incredible tool, and I love Slack. And we'll come back to that. However, it was restrictive in the sense where the evolution of Slack then was, well, I want to build a learning platform where women entrepreneurs, women in tech, women in business, women of any career path who want to learn from each other about leadership, about forging forward, about building things beyond themselves, and also who want to support other women on those journeys. I wanted to build a learning and engagement platform that you could exchange that information. And Slack wasn't that. So I had to take Slack down a notch and introduce this new platform, which we now call Women Who Start Up Connect. And that was a challenge. People were mad at me. Why were they mad?
Oh my God, you're changing things.
Well, A, I was changing things, and B, you don't take things away from a customer that a customer loves.
Right.
And I don't think of my community as customers. I think of them as my community, constituents, shareholders, ambassadors. It is the ecosystem. Our community is Women Who Start Up. And so when I had to start changing that in 2016, in 2017, I started experimenting with that. In 2017, I launched, I call it the alpha version of Women Who Start Up Connect, which is still an alpha, mind you. So if you go to womenstartup.com today and you become a member, it's only $100 a year, and you join us on Connect. You can be anywhere in the world. We learn, we engage, we talk, we connect each other, and we also follow along to support each other with where each other can need resources from that early stage entrepreneurial journey. So that evolves all beautifully with all of the challenges in the world that you can imagine, which I like. I don't mind challenges. I like to learn by doing, while doing. That's the only way I know to learn. So I experiment a lot, especially with technology, with human behavior, combining the two, and at the core of that, at the tip of that iceberg, value.
Yeah.
When you start up, I want no woman entrepreneur to be building in isolation, because that's just death to an entrepreneur. So I want to connect women into opportunity at all times at a low price point. $100 a year. Like, come on, like, let's get real. The evolution of the foundation, which is your actual question, is exciting because we have 5 programs now that make up the current foundation's future programs, mission, values that we're just getting started to launch. The first program is our base camps. I want to make sure that every local startup community has a base camp. Base camps are our monthly event series in your local startup community, where a small group of people become the leaders and the force for that community. You become a magnet for entrepreneurs within that community. And the purpose is to put a woman in the spotlight. You learn how she's building, what she's building, and why. You extract knowledge through storytelling, and that's base camps. And I want base camps to be very well supported. So I put base camps as the first program under the foundation. The second is the summit. I want the summit to be that annual celebration hosted right here where we're headquartered in Denver, Colorado, USA, where it all began. And because I believe it's an awesome place between the 2 coasts, I think it's accessible, and I think it's also prime for becoming a hub for women innovators, women entrepreneurs. So the summit is our second program that I really want to support, so that we have an incredible celebratory 1 to 2 day summit. The likelihood of the first one being 2019 is higher than 2018, but I'm still working at it. It's only April. I can pull off miracles. So we're working towards changing that or making that happen in 2018 already. The third program is education. For me, access to information, knowledge sharing, real-time learning is everything, particularly for women. I say for entrepreneurs in general, because entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship. It's challenging. It's a long road. People really have to embrace that it's a pretty long endeavor, especially if you're building a real startup. If you're building something beyond yourself, it's an innovation, it's a product, it's a service, it's a business, something that is scalable and repeatable, and also that you want a high capacity potential growth for. So small businesses are different, but we cater to that narrative a lot. So there's a lot that falls under women in startups. So to clarify that, we have women in tech, we have women entrepreneurs, we have small business owners, we have people in the workforce, high executive career folks, and early stage, from engineers to product people to marketing to operations. It just doesn't matter, because the power of women in startups community is the fact that we do draw all those factors. This is why corporations and corporate brands and corporate sponsors are starting to become excited about this grassroots, movement and brand that I've started, because they want to come recruit from these innovators, from these hustlers, from these game changers, from these leaders, from these executives and creatives and makers and doers. And I'm fine with that. Innovation happens all sorts of places. At the end of the day, our goal is one thing: put women in a position of opportunity. So we got base camps, we got the annual summit, we've got education. So we want to translate education into small chunks of awesome workshops, distributed digitally through Women in Startup Connect, our platform, make it very accessible for people to learn about ideation, design thinking, validation. How do I research an idea and actually validate in the marketplace? Launching your first prototype or MVP of that idea, launching successfully. Again, a lot of that early stage stuff, but also how to successfully take a product and making sense of it in the market, right? Finding product market fit is such an overused term, but it's kind of essential to business, right? Like, I have an idea, there's the world, AKA the market, the audience, and I need to figure out how I merge the two and provide value. And so there's a lot that there's a lot to that. So education is a big thing. It's a brand new mission, vision, and program that is probably going to come to fruition now through 2020. To me, providing education at a nominal cost, even potentially free to our members, is extremely important to me. I want someone to be learning the same information, in the startup community in Kenya and Cape Town and Kansas and Seattle and Denver, Colorado. I want that global infrastructure. I want women to connect kind of at a global standpoint. And we're there. I just now need the right partner strategies and our community, our ambassadors to really help us kind of fuel that growth now through forever. Fourth is research and grants. I want to be able to measure our progress in how we're doing a few things well. A, how we're cultivating a diverse community of entrepreneurs and innovators who all happen to be women or identify as women. And we want to show the world what they're up to. I really want to be a platform to share these amazing community members' innovations and companies, etc., their leadership. And grants. I cannot wait to get to the point where we can grant women entrepreneurs equity-free small grants to help them kick off, launch, or make the next move, whatnot. So we're going to do the grants potentially through a couple of pitch competitions throughout the year. One will probably be adjacent to our annual summit, and one will probably be more like in the spring US time. So we're figuring that all out. Like I said, we're right at the on-ramp of a lot of this. And then fifth, if not most important, and goes across everything, is technology. For me, partnering with a lot of incredible technology enterprise companies so that we empower our community with tools, resources, sandboxes to build cool new things that we translate into the market to, again, purpose to help women entrepreneurs connect the dots. Whether it's one of our very first initiatives is to build an application that connects early stage founders with angel investors in real time, right? We've built that for the career industry forever. You can go and publish your resume and get connected to a job much faster than you can publish what you're building and be connected to the right funding sources. And I think angel investors are excited about that. I think also a lot of people are working on that, so we got to get on it. But my goal with technology is to partner with incredible organizations like Black Girls Code or Women Who Code, or just in general, women in technology, technologists, and engineers, girls in tech. I want to engage youth, collegiate and otherwise, to come and reverse engineer some problems worth solving. And let's solve them. Let's solve them on the Women Who Startup platform. Let's solve it out there for the world, and then award really cool things, from prizes to giveaways to opportunity to career opportunities, you name it. So those are hefty goals, and I just kind of describe the next 20 years probably for the foundation. But the foundation is a legacy move, right? It's about never stopping, building a board that's reliable, and figuring out how to make these programs a reality for it to be of great value to women entrepreneurs and girls coming up to learn about technology and innovation and entrepreneurship. I think entrepreneurship gives everyone leverage. But we can talk about that next.
And thank you for sharing that, because it's really great to understand the projection, right? Like, you're a forward thinker, that visionary side of you. It makes sense that it would be not only broad and horizontal, but vertical as well. And I could totally see, as you were talking, how your enterprise mind is building this enterprise of women who start up. I mean, it's not just about that one-time hit. It's not just about instant gratification. Right. It's about sustainable growth over and over and over again, and like building that impact and value and connection And most of all, what I love is that you're not doing it alone, right? Like it's the solopreneur mind, which we come across all the time in our circles, right? Is that it's just me, me, me. I have to do it all. And especially women. Women feel that if they can't do it, they're not good enough. Which that story I always squash in my coaching sessions. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's back up there. So, but there's like that default, right? Like that default setting where it's like, oh, if I don't do it all, then I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not. And what you're doing is you're creating this dialogue and this safe space for people to just inject and say, hey, like, I'm looking for this. Anybody know how to get started, right? And I love that you're going into the education piece, because education today is changing as we're going through it, right? Like it's the value of what you come out with a degree doesn't necessarily give you applicable skills to take action and jump into or explore potential what you want. Like, for example, even for you, like you started in the arts and then you got an MBA, right? Like that's a big commitment and a jump, but we need to make it faster for people who are really wanting to say, oh, I'm a creative, but I also need to be in the tech space because I need to be seen. I need to find the right people to work with. I need to service. So the relational piece that you are bringing together in this foundation, and I really want to call it an enterprise.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, because you're really offering so much. And then the thoughts that came to me are, figuring out too, like how do you create mini advisory boards for these women who are coming in to say, this is my gap, this is what I need, and then who's the best fit. I love that you're looking at that kind of not only matching the right money and the right investment with the idea, but then also the right support, and that naturally, I've seen that naturally happen in the organization as I've been a part of it the last 3 years. But, that you can literally tap a shoulder, get on a phone call, someone with expertise is like guiding you and answering your questions. And it's beautiful because that's how we do want to show up for each other. So it's really great how you see that come together. I'm curious for you personally, embarking on such a large endeavor, right? And I know a 100% capable is going to happen, no question. How do you describe your own leadership style? Or, like what is it that you want to make sure that anybody that works with you, that engages with you, can rely on and also leave with? And if there are any gaps in your own, way of doing things, what do you look for in others that you choose to work with?
Yeah, I love talking about my leadership style because I'm the worst manager on planet Earth. Maybe not the worst, but I fall into that bucket of bad manager, great leader. So the one thing I know is that when people work with me, alongside me, on Women Who Startup, for Women Who Startup, at any capacity, volunteer, constituent, stakeholder, partner, you name it, you're going to leave bolder. Mm-hmm. That is the feedback loop. So that's not words out of my mouth, necessarily my perception. That is the feedback loop. Like I can take on the world is kind of the feedback loop. With that comes maybe a few more bruises than they may have expected. The one thing that I am really great at is to set expectations and to really create a narrative for what is North. North is very clear when we have even 10 minutes of time together. North is very important if you're leading anything, especially a movement, a community, an enterprise, a foundation, programs of any kind of business, any kind of organization. You have to be able to articulate what are we achieving, what is North, and what are the strategies to get there. So even right now, this is 5 years in the making that I did pretty much carry on my own back for all of those 5 years. Now, I had an incredible community that carried a lot of the load. I have an incredible set of partners and supporters who have come along the ways and are still there to support. incredible peers and partners and community CEOs that really carry the torch, if you will, the Women in Startup flag, speak highly of our organization, the brand, and hopefully of me when time comes. The challenge always for me, the opportunity always for me, is to surround myself with people who love the details, because I can articulate everything that is likely going to be required, because my mind usually looks like a galaxy of stars and is constantly connecting dots. If you can envision that, I'm constantly trying to connect the dots. If we're going to launch this and we want to establish that within this time frame, what are all the dots that need to be connected? And then you have to be able to articulate that, and people have to get to work. The challenges for me in my leadership style is always if people need me to tell them exactly what to do. So of course, that is a great learning experience and opportunity for me constantly to make sure I empower people 190% with what they need to be extraordinary, because I like to push. I like to push because I believe that people underestimate what they can contribute 99% of the time. So I push. Some people don't like to be pushed. That's fine. That's a great quantifier for someone that doesn't need to be directly around me as a leader, but can be indirectly of great value. And so I have to constantly surround myself with people who are, 1,000% on the EQ, really love managing, have a cool demeanor, and they can extract from me what they need to and articulate that for implementation. Leadership is all about learning. I love being surrounded by people who I see their potential, and I connect dots. I propose things that they should tackle and try and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It boils down to, what are you willing to try? And I like to be surrounded by people who take information and go.
Yeah.
And
action.
Movement to me is everything, right? I've had the saying for many, many years of my life. Life is about movement. Business is about action. So for me, it's always about momentum. It's about moving forward. It's about momentum, because I never stop. And I do stop. I love to be out in nature. I love to walk multiple times a day. There's a balance, and there's a requirement for balance. That movement also translates into health and mental, fitness, and taking a breath and stepping away from the work and blah, blah, blah. But I, generally speaking, really, really, really love being surrounded by people who don't get offended by a direct contribution to, we're going to run up this mountain. This is north. This is the mission at hand. This is what we want to go and achieve. Is that clear? What do you need?
Yeah.
Okay, we get you everything you need. Now it's go time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my opportunity has always been to learn about not thinking of it like, oh my God, I don't want to babysit people, not thinking about it like that, but, continuously learning as a person, because that will be ever and always, how to make sure that you are consistent about articulating the mission and the vision, the available strategies and resources to empower people that are around you to be extraordinary. That's all I care about, right? Like, I think about that with my board that I'm building now. I'm like, okay, these are really busy, very, very smart people. How do I empower them to give me every ounce of their free attention, that they are so devoted to the legacy of this foundation that it becomes ingrained that I am this foundation, and they can contribute their best, their extraordinary level of awesome, and how they're building their company successfully to the foundation, and us, making that mission and vision come to fruition. But I am a student of leadership and management all the time. I have to work on EQ all the time. I'm deeply empathetic, but I am not sympathetic, I think, to a lack of work ethic. So because of my just unbelievable drive, I have to be mindful of that, and we learn. We learn. With that learning comes a lot of mistakes. If people are looking for perfect founders and CEOs and leaders, God knows, you'll look for a while. It's possible to find it. That's why I think it's very important to know who you're working with and for. But that's been my experience. It's a learning experience. I need to be surrounded with the right people. People make up what companies and organizations are. It's just that simple. And as a leader, a CEO, founder, president, whatever, you have to empower people to be extraordinary. Otherwise, you're failing.
Yeah. And I totally understand, and I think I've seen it in action with you, is that as that visionary and the fact that you can connect the dots from a vision standpoint, you also connect the dots people-wise, and that is your empathetic side showing up to understand, oh, wait, I've had that conversation with that person. If I connected her with this one, like, oh my God, the magic. Let me just get them in a room. Let me get them going and then give them this challenge and walk away. drop the bomb and walk away, because it, and that in its own leadership style is huge, and it's needed, Lizelle. There's if you didn't have a visionary at the top of the summit saying, let me help you climb up, but let me keep showing you this is where I want to go, right? Or even pointing to the next summit and saying, but we still have to go over there. Folks who need to follow, right? Like, not everybody wants to lead. And there are people who want to follow with a heartfelt cause, with feeling as if every single ounce of them is going to be appreciated, respected, and allowed to grow, right? Yeah. If you don't have the visionary type of leadership that you are, all of that then won't be able to shine as bright, And I've seen the opposite, where leaders feel like they, again, have to do it all. And also then try and lead by example, which can be very productive in certain arenas, for sure. But that is more of a manager as opposed to, an innovative leader. And I love that you say it's continued education for you, and you're continuing to grow it, because we all have our own styles too, not only from what we've been exposed to, but also from just feeling what's right. I when I coach my clients a lot, it's about that integration. And the reason why you live, breathe, and feel like you're on all the time is that because you've integrated with your true calling, and you try to put it out in everything you do, which can create sleepless nights, because it's like, this is who I am and I want to be on fire. But when you're on your walks and you're out in nature and you're exposing your creativity, that's still part of this beautiful, integrative, enterprise-wide foundation you're putting out there, because every little ounce of you is now in your daily life. Yeah. And it's just beautiful. I love how you articulated it, because I think there can be a shame spiral in the not doing. And you've seen it. I know you've seen it in others, maybe went through it yourself. And I just love that the more you get to know who you are, right, the brighter you shine. And
yeah, I love that. I really appreciate that. The interesting thing is I have been surrounded by thousands and thousands of stories by women on their entrepreneurial journey. So I have a pretty interesting connection of narratives, and shame is definitely in there. And shame is a very strange, it's a very aggressive human behavioral
fungus
experience and trait, and it can be very challenging. And we experience shame for all sorts of different crazy reasons, and it really affects our self-confidence and our self-motivation. I'm gay, and I've known it since I was a very, very young person, and my early 20s were, an emotional state of deep depths of hellish shame. And still, my work ethic was probably like 5 million times of any of my colleagues. And I didn't know it at the time. It was just in my DNA.
Mindset. Yeah.
It was it was the way I operated. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to deliver the fastest. But when you smarten up and you get older, and I still have a lot to learn, but when you get a little older, you start to evaluate your earlier selves, all those iterations of yourselves, right? Your youth, your teenagers, your 20s. And I can now look back and go, Jesus, you were just trying to prove that you were worthy of anything, because there is a narrative in the world, and it's not just for people who are gay, it's all sorts of narratives of shame. People of color experience this. If you're not, if you haven't raised your first $1 million, there is an immense amount of just debilitating fear and shame that's happening so I used to share a ton of so-and-so raised $20 million and blah, blah, blah. You'll see me very gently weaving that into the Women Who Startup narrative in our marketing. For me, it's about like the millions of small wins that get those people to finally that, 10-year overnight success, as we all know, is a matter of fact. In fact, it can be longer than that.
Yeah.
It takes a really long time to climb a mountain building a company. But back to the shame thing, it's like extraordinary. I think the moment you start to understand that we are energy, like all we are is energy. I mean, we're all a lot of things. We're flesh and blood. We've got extraordinary brains, but we're energetic. And shame takes so much of our energy away from us that it depletes us so much of what we truly are, and what we are definitely capable of. So one of the deepest values for Women Who Startup is integrity. And what I mean by that is to empower anyone that is connected to the Women Who Startup community or brand to know that I know for a fact that your level of extraordinary has simply not been tapped, because you have not been in a surrounding, in an environment, in a space, in a company, in an organization, in a platform, in a movement. I don't care what you call Women Who Startup. You have not been a part of something that is literally designed to make you and inspire you and feel like, fuck yes, I can at least give it everything I got to try. No, nobody is stopping me. What do I have to lose? And that, my friend, that is the opposite of shame. That is fuel. That is support. That is kindness in motion, knowledge sharing in motion. That is support in action. And to me, that's what a community is about. This is why I believe people are building great organizations, awesome brands, great neighborhoods, great culture within their companies, is because they value people, they inspire them enough and empower them with the right resources. And the environment that you're creating is good for us. Mm-hmm. It's positive in energy. Now, running a company is not always all jazzy. It's tough.
There's work. There's
a lot of work, and there's more weird days than there are normal days.
Yeah.
But if there's transparency, if there's authenticity, if you're inspiring people, if the energy is positive, then you have a recipe then you have the potential for there to be a recipe for success. And at the end of the day, even if the company completely bombs, even if the product on its third iteration just doesn't work, you didn't waste the last 5 years of your life because it was also miserable. That's the biggest problem. People don't understand when you're starting a company, the products are easy. The services are easy. Yeah, it's strategy. And yeah, it's market fit. And yeah, you have to launch at the right time with the right, blah, blah, blah. But it's about the people.
Yeah.
And we can't have dynamic things with people if people are ashamed. I love the essence of squandering shame like it's a damn disease, because it is. It kills us. It kills our soul. It debilitates us from being awesome. And there's no reason that anyone should ever be shamed for who they are, what they look like, who they love, for any reason. You know what I mean? Unless they earn it. Like, you can earn shame. That's sure. That's for sure. Anyway, that's my.
I love it.
About shame.
Yeah, no, because and I'm glad we're raising the dialogue on it, because we when you sit and fester in, I equate shame to like mold and fungus.
Perfect.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
inflammatory, and
it's just
it takes over, and you can't breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the only way to squash it really is to get out of your head and start vocalizing what's going on, even the pain points, right? Like, even the environment, to say, I feel like I effed that up so hardcore, and then I immediately turn it into, well, what did you learn from it? Like, what's the positive out of that? What do you want to take forward? Forgive yourself for whatever the heck happened back there, right? And let's move forward, because it doesn't serve you to continue to relive something that doesn't fill you up, doesn't fuel you, doesn't get you into action towards what it is you want. And also, I try to hold space for women who show up this way, where it's like, let's just get it out. Get it out of your system so it doesn't fester, grow, and take over your whole body. Like, you look like you're walking around with algae on you, right? Yeah. Like, it's not, because it just hinders the what's next. And so
shame is a stressor, and stress is a killer.
Mm-hmm.
If people are fortunate enough to find a friend, a peer, a colleague, a constituent, community member, a neighbor, I don't care who it is, the tough thing is people really get connected to the noise, the negative noise, that one or two voices that says, you got this,
right?
You belong, believe in yourself, blah, blah, blah. That's why I find myself like a lunatic running into rooms at our summits, so emotional, so passionate, so fueled, right? You've been at our summits.
Yes.
The folks listening or watching can go to our YouTube channel, Women Who Showed Up, or listen to our podcast. I bring it's so much adrenaline from me, because I know how high I want to bring that energy, because that's where we literally are capable to walk across fire. And that's how we move through thresholds of building self-confidence. And only that is how we go, holy shit, I can try this. I can try something else. I can continue to try things that scare the bejesus out of me. And that, psychologically, the human factor is extraordinary. That's how we build our self-confidence. And that's how we keep climbing. But we have to try little things. I mention this a lot at our base camps. You don't move your level of self-confidence by being here at the base of the mountain and thinking about the view. Right. You move your level of confidence by taking the first step and the first 10 steps. And even if you're stumbling and shit's not working out, maybe you have to turn around and try again in a new mountain. I don't care. But the movement, the action is what matters. But being in the surrounding where you're empowered to think like that, especially for women, still today, 2018.
Yeah.
Hopefully you listen to this in 20 years from now and we're going to giggle. I hope it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll just be two little ladies being like, oh my God, Kareen. Oh,
you know what? You just gave me the visual of, though, Lizelle. I am wearing your shirt today, so those who are viewing can see it. But it's like, this woman climbing up a mountain with the flag, and you have your badass moment when you came up during the summit, running down the aisle with your flag. It was freaking brilliant, and I just literally had the visual of it's the person climbing, because what you really create isn't just this individual climbing. What you have is like a team of people pushing that girl's ass up that mountain too, right? Like, and the one at the top, a whole another group pulling them up, right? Like, that's the true image of the Women Who Startup movement is all about, and everything you're doing. But really, it's that, like, it's the fact that you're not in it alone. And that when you're sore and you're achy and you're down and you need refreshment and you need hydration and you need that like boost, it is so awesome to plug into this group, and also with you as the leader of it, that leading energy of it, right? To feel that there is a net, you're not alone, and leverage the heck out of it. Like, go after, have those hard conversations, like go touch on those people that will, breathe light into you, like that will say, yeah, go for it. Why not? Try it. Like, the best you can do is learn something. Yeah. If that's, that's the worst that can happen, is you're going to learn something, not only about yourself, about the process, about how to move forward. Right. And it's brilliant. And of course, like, I know I could dialogue with you for days, and I'm sure we will have many talks as we go. But, as we close out today's call, I would love, because you just alluded to one of my favorite questions to ask, because it's 20 years from now and you were to look back on this version of yourself, what do you hope to be able to say to that version of yourself, but also hope to be, like, from where you are right now to where you're headed?
Oh, I love this question. I've been thinking about that a lot. Our actions have consequence. And dare I be so bold to say that we're building a legacy here for a grassroots movement of and for women entrepreneurs. The best case scenario, in 20 years from today, I respect myself. My integrity is still my number one core value. And that I show even more love and kindness towards myself, and I'm not so hard on myself. And I'm a bit more patient. I think the drive merged with patience is a constant opportunity and challenge. But I would really like the person who I become 20 years from today just have had every opportunity to grow and learn, to be kind, to genuinely gain some real success from the world at large, to truly bet on women entrepreneurs through this little thing that is growing like such a snowball effect. I want it to be a success. I want it to be successful. I want it to become so much bigger than me. So 20 years from now, I want women who start up specifically to be this life force and this empowering kind of, enterprise organization that is supporting entrepreneurs and innovation, where I believe people have leverage. When you innovate, when you make, when you create, I believe that's how you find more opportunity. When you are that, when you have access to taking risks, building companies, being a job creator, etc. But you're asking personally, and hopefully I hinted at a few things. I just want to be able to look back and see continuous growth. And hopefully I'm around in 20 years to see that growth. I have no doubt that I'll be at a similar pace, but not taking any of it for granted, and also experience a tremendous, even more level of gratitude for betting on other people to be their best. I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that personal vision with us. And the word that comes to mind for me is you're creating a ripple effect in a very unique environment that is needed, and setting the foundation now. I can totally see you in 20 years to be like, oh yeah, that I dropped a pin in that one. And look how it exploded, right? And I go, and that company over there, yeah, she's one of ours, like she's in our org, she's one of our advisors. Like, it is going to be amazing to continue to watch your badass journey, but also love being a part of it and love how you help others initiate theirs. And honestly, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. And I know people are only getting a piece of you. So if you want to tell them the best way to connect with you, like how do you like to be followed? all those peeps out there. Yeah. But why don't you share that so that those who are interested and definitely I know are going to want to connect with you, how should they find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Corinne. This was an absolute pleasure. Good luck with this amazing new podcast and your book launch. And I'm really proud of you. I'm so lucky. I feel very fortunate to be connected to you and to learn from you and to have you a part of our community. For anyone who's interested to learn more about Women Who Startup, please visit womenwhostartup.com. That is our go-to online platform to be connected to all the dots of our kind of galaxy. We have Women Who Startup Radio. It's on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as SoundCloud. But again, womenwhostartup.com points to our podcast, Women Who Startup Radio. Our YouTube channel is growing, and we want you to follow and subscribe there. Our monthly events are filmed and shared there for a global community to watch and engage with. So again, Women Who Startup on YouTube, or just go to womenwhostartup.com if you need to connect to our videos. To become a member, visit womenwhostartup.com. You can click on Join Now. Again, it's $100 a year. Come and become a part of this community. It's all about learning and engaging, and it's all about knowledge sharing, and it's all about a supportive ecosystem of women entrepreneurs, women in business, women in tech, and just overall leadership and learning and growing. So we want everyone who's listening to consider become a member. Please come share your knowledge and come extract some knowledge from this network and share it. Let's keep growing this. For me, it's all about the network effect. Join us and then invite 5 of your friends, peers, colleagues, leaders that you know in your life that will add value and extract value. I personally am extremely active on Twitter, at Hey Lizelle. At Women Who Startup is all things Women Who Startup. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We're extremely active on all the platforms, YouTube, SoundCloud, etc. Me personally, Lizelle, at Hey Lizelle, both on Twitter and Instagram. If you're interested in getting to know me just as a person, I mostly share photos of Shugs, our dog, and the simple pleasures in life of art and music, business, technology, and of course, this mission in hand for betting on women entrepreneurs, a whole lot more. So at Hey Lizelle is me. At Women Who Startup is all of the Women Who Startup goods. Womenwhostartup.com is the best bet to learn all about our organization, and the foundation page is pretty amazing. You can donate there if you feel inclined. You can point people to donate there. And we hope that your listeners, Corinne, are as excited as we are about women being connected into opportunity in real time. That's what we're all about. So
that's beautiful. I personally love following you on all of it, but mainly connecting to and just continuing to share everything that you're about. And I cannot wait to see the next few months and 2 years time with the foundation and what comes of that. So thanks again for joining me today, Lizelle. This has been an amazing conversation, and we will definitely have a follow-up for sure.
Thanks, Corinne. Thanks for having me.